Yo, what up, Internet? Welcome to episode 69 of Bricks and Beer. Thanks for hanging out. Welcome to your mom's favorite podcast about Lego and beer. You know the deal, right? Sure you do. Maybe you don't. If you don't, if you're watching this for the first time, this is the show where I hang out in my Lego room and I drink some beers and I show you guys some Lego builds and we fucking just kick it. It's as always uncut, unedited, uncensored, unprofessional as fuck. Um, you know, the usual fare around these parts. So tonight's beer, wherever you're at, is the Strand Brewing Company Beach House Amber Ale. Pretty good, pretty local. This is being recorded in the midst of the maybe apocalypse. That being said, support your local peeps, man. So if you're in LA, Strand Brew is awesome. They're doing beer pickup. And then Common Space is, look at how gross this is. Sorry, I probably should have grabbed a cleaner coaster. Anyway, they're doing beer delivery, which is pretty legit. Like, you can just have their van show up and a dude pops out and gives you a bunch of beer. It's fucking awesome. The amber's pretty good. It's pretty tasty. I've got shit tons of content for you guys. Like, this is going to be hopefully a long episode. We'll kind of see how long it goes. I have tons and tons of builds to show you. The reason why is I haven't done one of these in forever. Like, forever. What happened, guys? What happened? A bunch of shit, man. Just like life. It's been 10 months since I posted an episode before, which is like great. It's been a while. Just a lot, man. So like this episode 69 was supposed to be recorded 6 months ago. I don't know, a long fucking time ago. And the plan was to show you the whole room, all the Lego, all the sorting, all the parts, all the collection. Open up each one of these. You guys can look inside and see how my brain works, right? So that's a huge endeavor because this room is stupid and there's like a giant amount of Lego everywhere. Oh, spoilers over there. So I was like committed to doing this for some reason. It was like a big deal that I made 69 the collection tour, which was stupid. Stupid for a number of reasons. Number one, I unsorted shit that I needed to deal with, and I didn't want to show you the collection until it was like 100%. So that was like hurdle number one in the way, which I did. The collection's entirely sorted. Like my unsorted is literally just like project trays and stuff, which is rad, but it was a unnecessary part of the delay of me recording that episode. The real reason is just that episode's like a pain in the dick, man. It's super tedious and boring, and I tried to do it. I recorded it in chunks with my phone and like did this whole wall and did that whole wall, and I got to the tackle boxes, and I was like, this is terrible. I don't want to do this. So I didn't want to put you guys through that, number one, and number two, I just didn't want to do it, so I didn't do it. And then like life continued to happen. Like I had some work shit and some in real life family shit. It just, fucking shit happens, right? So here we are. We're back. Oh, dude, the fucking beer fridge broke. Like, there's not a new one. It's, desperate times call for desperate measures. I'm using the proper fridge where we keep food to keep the beer cold. But it was like, and that was like another thing where it was like, I can't really show off the room until I show you the fucking bar, and like, it was just dumb. It was a lot of me getting in my own way, essentially, to not put this stuff out, which kind of sucks. And it sucks for you guys because I feel like right now, at least over the last couple of months, people have been asking me, "Hey man, do you still do this? Is Bricks and Beer still a thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's still a thing. Like, I still build and fucking drink beer. This is my life." So that didn't stop. I just stopped kind of like putting out the transmissions to the internet, which is kind of a strange thing. I went to a convention, Bricks LA, in January. Right now it is April, so that was 3 months ago. And there was a kid who saw me, and he was like, "Hey man, I thought you were dead." And I was like, what? I don't know who you are. Shout out to you, Victor. And he was like, yeah, man, you stopped posting on Flickr, and like Bricks and Beer stopped. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess if that's the only way you knew me, you would think I'm dead. So jokes on you, fuckers. So yeah, we're back. We're doing it. It's a thing. There's fucking shit tons of stuff to show you guys because it's been so long. Multiple conventions have happened. So I've got some other content for you guys post this. It's not very good content. Well, I take that back. Some of it's great. A lot of it's not very good. It is what it is. You can watch it if you want. I'm guessing you probably don't have a lot of other things to do right now. So yeah, we can take a look at some fucking Lego builds. Why don't we do that? Everybody likes that. So first up, robots. Everybody likes robots. So this is a mecha frame. It's just kind of, generic-ish. It was kind of designed to be generic in that way. I wanted like just a regular humanoid mecha build. It's got, side skirt armor and the shoulder armor, but besides that, it's very, very just regular human articulation and kind of basic stuff. A lot of ball joints, so he's pretty expressive, Anytime you add a ball joint to anything, I kind of feel like you get a lot of dynamicism, if that's a word, out of it. So it's it's just very emotive. It's very expressive. He's got kind of cutesy little hands. I'll show you a couple with armor plated on top that don't just look like frames and skeletons. So you can kind of see how these work. But the hands are pretty basic. It's just a couple of clip bar deals. So there you go. He's got fingers. He can wave. Hi. Yeah, so I built this as part of a larger project. The story of 2019 is a lot of fucking hype for like not a lot. So I built this huge project because 2019 was like the off year for Wacklug. Me and the homies, we do the big convention up in Seattle, BrickCon, and we bring the noise, and that's what that's from, and that, and shit over there, and like there's tons of stuff, right, that we build for these conventions, and every year everybody's like, what's next year? What's next? What's next? Because people can't get enough, I guess. And the question in 2018 was, what's next? And we were like, chill out. Fucking Jeff was supposed to like travel the world. Morrow was like, who knows? Like everybody was up in the air. Fucking the story of that is we all showed up. We all brought fairly significant builds, and we all kind of won stuff, which was rad. So I brought a Dio, like a huge, huge, dumb Dio that I just built by myself because I was like, hey, man, I want to build this. It's now occurring to me how unprofessional this show is because I was going to get something out of a bin, which is over there, still in the bin. So anyway, so this Dio, right? Mecha. Everybody likes mecha. Well, I like mecha. You know what I like? I like mecha fighting giant monsters. So I was going to build this Dio, which I do not have the Dio together anymore, but I have the mecha and I have the giant monster. And I have some of the traffic and some of the little like civilian vehicles and whatnot. So yeah, this was meant to be micro scale. So, a car is about that big in comparison. Very Gundam-esque. It's like, this is one of those things where when you build the actual build, a lot of people ask, like, what is this from? Because it hits all the tropes, like all the nostalgia things. It's obviously influenced by a bunch of classic sci-fi anime stuff. So yeah, no, this is the frame. You guys get it. It's got a ball joint. The ab crunch, I feel like, is one of those things that it is what makes it super emotive, but I fucking hate building ab crunches because there's always a compromise, either front or back or side or either way, and then you end up like you get some sort of little wraith thing that you can't really plate over without moving a bunch of shit. Anatomy's hard. There's also no double jointed elbow, which sucks. It's not terrible. Like, it's good enough. And the shoulder articulation, because it's the ball, you get kind of a bicep swivel with just the ball itself. So you get enough range. Like, I felt like it did what it needed to do. Same thing with the knee. They're single jointed, so you get pretty fucking awesome range. Um, but it's single jointed, which is not very great. But I built four, including this one, so I kind of just felt like it was good enough. Also, it was my dial, and I was building it. So, did you build it? No, you didn't. So yeah, here's a dude with armor, right? Skeleton with armor. He looks like he's throwing his gun on the ground. Very Pat Labor, because he's a police robot in white. He's got a giant riot shield, which I'm shortly going to take off, just because it's big and dumb in the way. And I should pick this gun up, I guess. But I'll show you the secret to the hand. This kind of blew Aaron's mind way back in October when I took this to BrickCon. So you can see he's holding this handle, right? And it's like grasping his little fingers, his little clippy bar fingers. But he's actually not really holding it with those because it's clipped onto this plate. So when there's no thing there, like he's open-handed, like stop, I am the law. There you go. That's a better shot. You can see like the bar is exposed, but it doesn't look heinous. It doesn't look like super weird because you need some articulation for the thumb and then the fingers themselves. And you can kind of like make a rudimentary fist with this, which is it's not the greatest. That doesn't look super awesome. But it's not terrible either. And I kind of like the open hand pose more because I feel like that's more vulnerable and human and less like, I'm a superhero. Particularly because in the Dio there were two of these dudes. The other one is in a bin over there as well. That one was all fucked up. That one the monster had already thrown across the room. The monster was coming out of the ocean and like attacking these guys. And there's a big city. It was cool. It was like I did this Dio 10 years ago. I feel like I build the same shit over and over again. But it was a white mecha fighting a kaiju in a city that was micro scale with the same scale of traffic, which I should probably get at some point. But we'll talk more about the robot. It's been forever since I've done this, so it's kind of hard to like talk and drink the beer, if that makes sense. So bear with me if this is awkward and pausey. And, I'm just swilling beers. We're hanging out, right? So anyway, robots, cop robots. I built this Dio called Super Mega Destroy Action. It was some various chain of hyperbole descriptors. Mega Destroy Super Action Dio, I think was the actual name. But it was very similar in tone and feel and visual iconography, if you will, like big mecha robots. And so this came out actually really well. Like for a grunt frame, I really like this dude. The big secret is I have a shit ton of these pieces. So these are used throughout this. So the shoulder pauldrons have it on both sides. The head is really slick. Let's see. There you go. Of how this kind of works. It's not fully legal. It's illegal. I'll show you my illegalness. Always have these handy folks. So here you go. This is the bottom of this because it's a Hero Factory part. So it's 2 bars. And then there's a glaring white box. Jumper and a Travis brick back there. That's a brick with 5 studs for you not in the know. So if you sit this flat, like the way it's intended, there's kind of like a little gap. You can see my face through there. But because it's got a little bit of play in it, you can kind of close up that gap. And then it looks money. It looks fucking super cool. It's hard to show you guys any Lego on my laptop camera, but white Lego in particular is probably like the worst. So yeah, this is this dude's head. He's got, the Next Night logo because that's fucking awesome. And the armor's pretty cool. Like it doesn't really hinder the articulation too much because the articulation kind of sucks in these. And I didn't need them to do much. Like this dude was literally blasting the kaiju with his laser rifle here, which is sort of a inadequate laser rifle, which is exactly what I wanted it to be. Like I wanted these guys to be ill prepared. Like The Dio itself was this like beachside little hangout. It was like a big hotel. I wanted it to feel like Malibu, like PCH here in Los Angeles is very like your cliched like beach town thing meets like sort of, Tokyo-ish big city, you know, general stuff. So yeah, he just had a shield and he was blasting away, and then the other dude was all fucked up in a building with like flames, and I put cool little stickers. They're like Chima stickers that make the armor look all fucked up. So yeah, they did what they needed to do. There's a couple of cool little tricks in here that I like. One of which is this. So this reverse rail plate is sitting inside, and this is an OG move. So there's that piece which sits in, and you can see the snout work all kind of like cleanly works, and then it fits there. So the armor kind of chunk, like I imagine that's actually where the pilot loads in of this thing, because it's like as tall as a building. And then the articulation on the legs is definitely hindered because of how chunky the armor is. So double jointed knees would have made this way better. The ankle rocker is pretty decent. It's ball joint ankle. The armor is pretty slick in the back. I like the little boosters and the collar and whatnot. It's very obviously like Gundam inspired as well. Super robot-y. So yeah, he's a chunky boy. He does his job. He's like the mall security guard of giant robots. That's really what this is supposed to be. Not very good at the job, hanging out. Probably just looking at girls in bikinis on the beach, to be honest. He's got a cool little like a backpack deal too. I like all this sort of shaping that's happening here. Wow, this camera is fucking going wild. The next thing I show you guys will not be all white, so hopefully it won't be as crazy as this. And then I also have a bunch of Nexo shields, so I feel like that always helps kind of shape things and whatnot. Keep things consistent-ish. Lots of the angles. There's a ton of angles on this, but I feel like they're all somewhat restrained, if you will. Like this is a very down-to-earth kind of thing. That sounds fucked up. I know that sounds fucked up. Giant robots are down to earth. This is grounded. But in our new reality, maybe it is. I don't know. It's alright. Fucking hang out. I'm gonna go pull a bag of tiny little things out of a bin. You know, sort some Lego. I don't know. Do something. Don't click off. I'll be back in a second. Oh, hey, that was fairly easy. So, I'm glad you didn't click off. Here are some of the little micro scale bits and set pieces and whatnot that go with these guys. So you've got your standard cop robot, and then this is let me get one that looks quite a bit. Pick up on the camera better. Okay, here we go. Red is always good. So there's a car. This is a car. See, it's a tiny car. It's made of 2 parts. Lots of building skill to make this. And there he is compared to the robot's foot. So the robot is fucking massive, right? And I like this scale because you can do a lot more. So you can build fucking skyscrapers and you can make snarling traffic patterns and stuff. Because this bag, what I'm fucking around with here, this is all the traffic from the Dio. So there was like an underground train. So here's your train deal. It was in a bridge. It was like hidden underneath. There was some. There's like a. This actually might be my favorite build from the whole Dio. I lied. It's white again. This is the little like cruiser that was in a secret hangar underneath the city. The side of the Dio had like cutouts. That's one of the things I've wanted to do forever. Is like, I love cutaways. You ever read those books when you were a kid? Like I think they were just called cutaway books. But they would show like things in slices, and you'd see like the side of a pirate ship or a castle or something, and they would fucking just show you like all the little hidden worlds within. So the side of the Dio, it had landscape that ramped up, and underneath that landscape was like hidden world kind of stuff. One of which was a secret train, and one of which was a hangar that had the in case of giant monster attack, take this to the safe zone anywhere but here. So yeah, so there's like a military version that I built. There was deployable military, which I actually didn't deploy. I showed this at two conventions. I showed this at both BrickCon and Bricks LA. And I never actually deployed the military. I love these little jets. It's like such a cute minimal build, and it works so well, especially when you have a bunch of them. So like here, live, uncut. I'm building you a jet dio. See, there's two jets. Now they're swooping in. The effect parts are fucking legit. So good, so good. And this is like one of those things that like Microscale is so good for, because to build a squad of jets coming in to like bomb a giant monster, it's a huge undertaking and ordeal of parts, and it never kind of does what you want it to do. You always get like a tiny section of the world, whereas like this, you can go much bigger. When a tanker truck is this big, things can get out of hand. So I'll show you. Oh, this is cool. Here's a little helicopter, boop, 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 boop. Flying along. It's time. It's time to take the jet out. What else is in here? I don't know. Just weird little. Here's like a school bus. Just weird little trucks, and it's one of those things where like, because it's small and minimal part count, like the number one, the part count means that every part has to mean something. So here's like a little forklift. This is a roller skate. So, it's the perfect little Microscale. Well, so yeah, I don't know why I'm making fucking sound effects with everything. Here's a tiny micro tank scaled. So you've got here. We'll give you an idea of scale in general of my dio without actually showing you anything. Yeah. Right. So like, this is a terrible idea. Thank you guys for hanging out and watching this, by the way. I don't know what you're doing with your lives, but good times. So like, here's a car, here's a tank, here's a forklift, here's like this is bad. Here's a truck. Here's a truck. See, it's a truck. It's got a thing. It pulls behind it. Yeah. Oh, I can show you the fountain. Do I have the fountain effect in here? Fuck yeah. So one of the things with the dio is I wanted a hotel with fancy cars parked up front, because that's one of the things that when you go to like a fancy hotel, there's just somebody's stupid Lambo or something like parked right out front, and there's always like 4 cars, and like there's 1,000 cars that are parked in this hotel, but for whatever reason, mainly the reason is they're the 4 coolest cars in the hotel, and they get parked VIP up front. So I had that, and part of what was there was a fountain. So this is the fountain that was, and this was sunk into the asphalt. So the cars were parked James Bond style around. So it was cool. It was a fun little dio, man, and little meaning the size of my table. So I'll show you 2 more things from the dio, and then we'll move on to other builds and other things. So the big one from the dio, which I kept, is the monster. And the monster is he's a sizable boy. I will show you more than just his eyes in a second. Let me just configure this together. So he's a big boy. He's a big monster. He had a bunch of tentacles that were jumping out of the ocean. He was coming out of like a regular blue kind of base plate ocean, which the base plate action was kind of whack, but for what I was doing, especially like doing it just by myself, it was kind of necessary to make some compromises, and I built it pretty quick. I built the whole thing, I think, in like 2 months. Not pretty fucking quick. So here's our boy. He's got a fantastic mohawk. It is one of my favorite fucking colorways ever. Which this is the wings are from the Elves Dragons, but the spines, these like little spider tentacle deals are from Ninjago, and this color looks like it should glow in the dark, and it does not, which is a giant disappointment, which is a bummer. They do not make the smaller wings in this color, and even if they did, I didn't have them, so I used these. But yeah, the four were tremendous. And then it's got pretty good texture. This thing is a big balloon, basically. It's like a big paper mache infrastructure. You can kind of see underneath it here. So it's a big hollow tube that's basically got like an armature that's got skin on top of it for two reasons. Number one, it's giant. It's bigger than my head. I wish I could wear this as like a fucking awesome Halloween outfit. Just show up outside the Vons. What's up, guys? Two, I flew with it. So it needed to not be 1,000 pounds and it needed to survive. And I don't have a lot of dark blue. Like, this is pretty much all of my dark blue in my hand right here. Oh, I almost caused a disaster over here. The other thing, obviously, is he has a whole fuck ton of eyes. And they have a cool technique because they got mushrooms for pupils. Because he's wacky. Super wacky. He's also super dusty because he's been on a shelf for months. So yeah, he needs a name. If you want to name this dude, I don't know, leave a note in the comments. I guess it's YouTube. You can do that still, I think. Oh, that's the other thing. COPPA happened, and like, it doesn't affect me because fucking I'm small time and I don't give a shit. But clearly, I'm showing toys, and this is not meant for fucking children. If your children are watching this, go back to homeschool. I don't know. I'm sorry. Don't have kids watch this. So yeah. Anyway, giant monster. Big part of this is thanks to my boy Ace, which we'll have on next episode. Yeah, next episode. And the timeline's gonna be weird on these next couple of episodes. So I got a bunch of blue. Came from Ace. This was the big monster. He had tentacles. They're also still together, I think, in a bin. Maybe not. I think I only kept the head together. Which also makes me look like a fucking serial killer. Because the way I travel with all this Lego stuff, right? When you build something big like this, and people are like, how did you get this here? The thing is, you strip all the breakable parts off. The mostly breakable parts. So, like, the Mohawk, obviously, did not stay on and whatnot. But all the eyes did and everything. And then you saran wrap the fuck out of it. And then you tape it. So it's got this, like, extra exterior flexible skeleton. So if it does get fucking smashed, the idea is it doesn't deform the shape as much. And because it's Lego, you can kind of do this thing sometimes where you're like, oh, this is all shared. And you can kind of and you can kind of like crush it back into place. It's the idea of like keeping tension on things. So this looked real wild in my suitcase, which I carried on. And then everything else like flat packed into a suitcase that I checked on the plane, and it fucking was like flawless, man. It was super easy. I showed up, fucking, here's my big thing. Had a light. I was like, bam, like fucking one dio. One like whack-lug level dio from one bro. Solo. Easy. Fucking super easy peasy. So it was cool. It won an award at BrickCon. Actually, it won 2 awards. It won Best Microscale, and then yeah, I'm not lying. It won Best Microscale, and then it won Michael Bay approved, which this is the trophy. Which, man, we're fucking 5 for 5 of throwing things on the ground so far. Which is a stripper with trash cans for boobs. So, you know, she transforms into a spaceship, which is a terrible spaceship, and that's actually the way I received it. And I was like, dude, this is so like not great. And then the dude came up to me afterwards, and we had already figured it out, like, during the convention, or during the awards ceremony, that she fucking turns into a big titty stripper. So there you go. She's on her pole, doing her thing, you know. Hard times, desperate times, call for desperate measures. So this cracks me up. Like, this is fucking hilarious. This is one of the best trophies I've ever received. And it makes sense. That's like Michael Bay approved, and it's trash cans, and there's meta jokes, and So shout out to you, dude. I fucking forget the guy's name. I think it's Rob. I think Rob built that. Big Macross guy, fucking mecha dude at BrickCon. Good dude. Good dude. Builds transforming trophies. That's an impressive feat. So we'll get off of this fucking giant Dio, but I do want to show you one more robot, which is the super action version. Oh my god, he's so different. He must be the hero. He's got a laser sword and a jetpack, and he was flying in the Dio. Which this is where like the single hinge knees really fucking are terrible. But because it was a Dio, I didn't have to have him posed straight up and down. He could lean forward. So once he's leaning forward, he's far more lithe, actiony. Uses the Nexo Knight's helmet for the face, which is it's fun. It's not like I really wanted this to be the super over the top ridiculous, Gurren Lagann is a good reference for that of like, okay, guys, we get it. You're into robots and craziness and So I really wanted to just like step it up and make it kind of almost like tacky as fuck, This is also where like the ab crunch is super key because when it was posed, it was and it was on a huge like stand. It was flying above the city. There were buildings, fucked up robots, giant monster out here, and he was flying over the buildings because clearly he was going to save the day. Kind of like One Punch Man, I've been surprisingly over the last 6 months. I guess I've watched a lot of anime. Now I'm just now figuring this out live as I'm going through this. So this was the Hero Mech, which was pretty cool. He was fun. So I got it to BrickCon, and it fucking performed flawlessly. It got there flawlessly. It got home easily. Like, it packed well both ways. Fucking Zach was gonna come here, so like I set up in my garage. I got to Bricks LA, and this year Bryce threw half of it on the pavement from shoulder height, just threw the bin right on the pavement, which was great. Like, it's fucking hilarious comedy. I'm glad he didn't throw this part. If he threw this part on the ground, I would have just fucking swept it away and not acknowledged it. But he didn't, which is good. And Bricks LA, like every year, it's kind of just the timing is really rough. So it was kind of a rough showing to get this thing there. It survived on an airplane a million times better than from my car through 2 parking lots to a convention center, which is great. And then it also won an award. It won the Totally Magnificent Mech, which I'm showing us not just I'm showing off trophies is kind of bad form, but this is the second transforming trophy this fucking Dio won. It's hilarious. So he turns into a UFO. It's designed by Stephen Packbaz. It's piloted by a little frog in the head. Steven's whole thought process with this, I feel like it's a big just excuse to build transforming stuff, but he's the space and mecha coordinator, right? So there were 2 trophies, one for space, one for mecha. And he was like, and I didn't want there to be any sort of competition between you guys of like which trophy was better, so he built the same trophy. One for space, one for mecha. It's both a spaceship and a mech. Brilliant. Dude's fucking brilliant. No wonder he fucking has shit in space. This also didn't have this at the bottom. It's because I have a shelf. It's a lip. Because I'm vain like that. So that was the big giant fucking Dio, which took a couple months of my life. It was fun. It was a good time. This is the parts that like remain. All the actual landscaping, the Dio that was the size of my table. Back in here. That's how things go. All right, so time for beer number 2. I would like to show you guys more local beer, but my supply chain is somewhat limited, so I'm buying beer also from Trader Joe's. It means you're getting standard beer, the Bitburger, the premium pills. I actually really fucking love this beer. It's $5 for 4 of these, which is dirt cheap. As far as like decent beer, it's like German beer, so it's great. I showed you a bunch of robots. I showed you a monster. Showed you a couple of trophies that transformed. We've been hanging out for a half hour. That's a pretty good amount, right? Fuck it. Let's keep going. What else do you guys want to see? I got a couple of things to show you guys. I'm also curious as to how much fucking space my computer is going to tolerate. Let's talk spaceships, because these will be quick. These will be fun. Simon, the homie Simon, hosted a microscale Star Wars spaceship contest. It's actually like one of my favorite contests ever because it does like the 3 things that I want a Lego contest to do, which is be inspirational, be have there be a lot of room for creativity, meaning it's not overly restrained, yet it's also very clear in sort of what the expected deliverables are, the output. Wow, that sounds all fucking high and mighty. You tell I'm stuck at home. So here's the oh man, this is a lot of words for not a lot of like directness. I don't know why I'm obfuscating. Somebody's yelling at their computer. Probably Brom. Shout out to you, Brom. Cheers, homie. Obfuscating. I sound like I'm having a stroke. So it was about Star Wars. It was about microscale Star Wars. You built a bomber, a fighter, a little teeny dude. Boop, 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 boop. You had to build a minimum of 2, which I love because I love me some squad building. So here are 3 of a kind. Had to be in the Star Wars universe, but didn't have to actually be a legitimate Star Wars vehicle. Meaning, you didn't have to build the Millennium Falcon. You could pick a thing, build your own kind of version of that, or just make something up as long as it felt Star Wars. So these are the Hutts. You guys know the big slug creatures, Space Slug Squad. So these are little Hutt bombers. And then I got a cruiser, so you had to build a cruiser to scale with your little bombers. So this is my Hutt cruiser, hence the sails. That's the kind of big Hutt, I don't know, visual identifier. Because like the only thing that I associate with the Hutts is Jabba's sail barge, right? But that's like one dude in a desert, and that's like his boat. That doesn't really define the spaceship. However, I feel like I built 3 of these little squads, right? This is definitely the weakest of them, but it feels the most familiar. Like it's like old hand. Which is to say I've built a lot of microscale spaceship stuff. I've built a lot of spaceships in general. Some people brag about it, not me. And like this doesn't feel inspired or original. It's cool. It's fucking cool. Like the docking bay is cool. The claw in there is cool. This window trap is actually like really, really clever because there's this gap here, right? So I'm going to take this window off. It's not a window, it's a hangar bay because I'm a nerd. Gotta use the proper terminology as I break my Lego spaceships. So you can see hangar bay, hangar open bay. This window is super OG, and I would love to have it in any other trans color but this, but I only have these, which came in the Alien Moonstalker. It's an OG classic space set. If you know, you know. So here's the open bay, because one of the things about Star Wars is there's a lot of like hey, we got this big armored spaceship, and then like here's a thing that a little spaceship can fly in and out of, and you're like, I guess there's a force field because it kind of seems like you'd all be sucked out into space. There must be a force field, and they show it sometimes, like depending on the Star Wars that you're watching, meaning not the Star Wars, because there's fucking 5 billion different things to Star Wars content. If you're watching Rebels, sometimes the force fields are very obvious. If you're playing the video games, you definitely know the force fields are there, probably because you're running into it a lot. So yeah, so there's a hangar bay. If I had this as blue, it would be better representative of that, but I don't. So yeah, so this is the Hutt fleet. Gangsters in space. Everybody loves gangsters in space. And what I really like about building stuff of this scale is that it's very tabletop gaming esque, which is it fulfills a bunch of niches for me. So microscale, obviously, I like microscale because I'm building on these like big microscale diodes, but it also gives you the ability to squad out super easily and build variants and stuff. There's just something about this play pattern right now, for me personally. I don't know about you guys, but it's like micro machines. I feel like are back. I feel like that's a touch point now. Like small little collectible things, and then like micro machines clearly became like tabletop gaming miniatures for nerds. I've been into watching like the Warhammer and the miniature people, and one of the things I've always lusted after, but I never actually buy, X-wing, X-wing miniatures. They're great. I have no reason to own them. Number one, it's like I would love to just have cases of miniatures, like armies of Warhammer 40K models and stuff. But number one, I already got all this bullshit, which is a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And number two, like I don't actually play the games, right? And that's really where like the money that you're investing, I'm assuming, to remain competitive in the game, and not just have a bunch of pretty starships. And I just want the pretty starships. So I wanted these to be like X-wing miniatures. That's one of the things that like Simon like nailed. His contest was microscale, scale two things together, build a squad, make it Star Wars. So I was like, fuck, man, this is great. So I banged this one out. And Jeff built some, Zach built some, Zach won. We all knew he was going to win. Called it from the fucking beginning. Um, and then Mario was like, nah, dude, I got other shit to deal with, which he did. But it's dealt with now. So next contest, B, you got to be there. Yeah, so this is the Hutt fleet, gangsters in space. I built 2 more fleets just because I could, and like, it's one of those things where it's like a good contest really gives me inspiration where I'm like, man, and especially something like this. So the other thing was you could enter as many times as you want. Just follow the rules. So I didn't win anything, which is fine. But like, I love that where it's like, we know this is so fun. You're not restricted to doing it once. You can build all this stuff. And then Simon's trying to do some sort of like convention tour with these, which is hilarious now. So the second fleet, because I like some reptile bros, is a Trandoshan fleet. That's the lizard dude from Empire Strikes Back. Remember that part where some Imperial dude's like bounty hunter scum, we don't need them. When T-Rex boy looks down. These guys are T-Rex boys. So these are the little fighters. They're kind of Fifth Element-y. They're kind of Bosk. I'll show you actually Bosk's ship. I have a visual representation. You guys got nothing else to do right now, right? That's right. You might hear my wife talking to some friends through the ceiling right now, which is weird. So Bosk, T-Rex boy, the best. This is really the part in Empire Strikes Back that you associate strongest is why does he have shoes? So his ship looks like this, courtesy of my boy Zach gave this to me. I almost said Jeff, but Jeff gave me the Slave one. Zach gives me all my Star Wars goodies because he's a Star Wars bro like that. So this is Boss Ship. These are the little fighters. You can kind of see they're related. There's some visual cues. But this is the only, like the Hutts, this is the only transition like thing of like real reference. There's some bullshit in Clone Wars that shows like a Hutt freighter or something, but it doesn't really look like anything and like it doesn't really count. This definitely counts. This design has been around forever. So you got a squad. You got your three fighter dudes, and then they've got a cruiser that goes with it. Kaboom! So you can see they scale together. So a little escort fighter to cruiser. The sticker work on this is pretty fun. This is Shima. All this little sort of tiger stripe stuff. And then, I love me some dark tan, man. Like dark tan might be. So I think I had like it used to be dark red. Dark red used to be the color where I was like, man, that's the one I want. I want all of it. It's the best. It's the best. I think dark tan might replace that. I think that might be better. I'm trying to kill the glare here a little bit, but it is not working. There we go. Now you can see some spaceships. So yeah, he's got some big guns because they're fucking reptile boys. They don't fuck around. I imagine this thing just flies in and like is a warship and fucks shit up. The point of Simon's Contest is the scene in The Last Jedi where the rebel fleet shows up on Exegol. That's what he was like, build your own Exegol fleet. So I get it, like it's kind of like in world that, you know, anybody and everybody could show up for that. So I built them, and then the last fleet I built was for there's a dude named Kit Fisto. He's kind of like a squid boy. He's a squid boy Jedi. He's got squid people. So I built some squid people stuff. So these are the little fighters. They're cute. They've got this super cool printed slope deal here. Oh, this is the whack one. Show you the non-whack one. So you can see that the slope covers part of the printing. So, you know, cool little cockpit dish. This is the Arkenstone. I believe it's from The Hobbit. I have a fuck ton of them, and they make very good micro-scale cockpits. So you can see this cool little pinstriping there. It's glorious. And this is sand blue, which is a fucking great color. And then the covering of this printed piece, I think, is perfect. Because the reveal is like, it's just enough graphics. There we go. To make it cool without it being overwhelming. The original piece is this Spyrus piece. So you lose this like bubble windscreen thing. It just kind of, it scales better, you know? And then the actual cruiser is this. And this is glorious. This is actually my favorite of the three. It's hard to communicate how great this is. I think it's just one of those things where, like, in hand, it makes a lot more sense. Like, visually, all the slopes and everything kind of, like, work together better somehow. And then, of course, it's got a ton of this printing. So these ones have the small slope with this printing, and then these have the one or the 2x6, and then the huge one, and like that. Come on, camera, you can do it. I'll just fly it at you over and over again. Oh, hey, shadows. Also, photography on these. I hate photography. That's why I don't post on Flickr and don't really give a shit about that part of the hobby so much anymore. This, because it's full of slopes, full of glare, super shiny glare, like terrible, fucking terrible photography. So that's also why this one is like, so it's better in hand. Like this one photographs great. This one, not so much. All right, so we're gonna try to do something that's Hopefully not full of glare, but it's probably going to be. And then I don't know. I guess we'll get out of here fairly soon. It's been like close to an hour. So you've seen some robots, you've seen some monsters, you've seen some spaceships. How about a motorcycle? What? What the fuck? Yeah. So this is not my like normal build by any means. Did this for a couple of reasons. Number one, I had these wheels and they are super money, and I wanted to build a motorcycle with them because they are super cool. Number two, I love Akira, and what I love even better about Akira is super weird capsule toys that I don't own that came out of Akira. So this is Tetsuo's bike. It's from the comic. It's from the actual the manga. It was only made as a capsule toy. I'm guessing it's in like one or two scenes that is not there. Um, and I wanted to build a bike that was to scale with these tires, and obviously Akira was gonna be it. And I wanted a big ass chopper, and it's great. It's fucking awesome. Oh, I broke it. Not my usual build. I don't build car stuff typically. I don't build this like model team scale kind of stuff. I like either minifigs or things that are much, much smaller. I don't like bigger articulated figures as much. As far as like when it comes to my Lego builds. But this is pretty good. It's pretty fun. He's got some future controls in there and big old seat and some the graphics are pretty cool. It's got an actual chain that works on it, so you can see the chain there, and then there's like a little hub deal, and this hub deal actually rotates with the chain. So it's fun, You got an unprinted BB-8 head there for the exhaust on top of a palm tree. This is the wheelie bar, which this part is like perfect for. It's obviously like meant to be other things, but it's one of those things where like sometimes when you're building things, you build something and you're like, that part is perfect for that application. Almost as if it had been intentionally designed for me to build this one model and use this one part in this way to accomplish this one thing. It's obviously not. Like this some dude in Billund was not like, we are going to make a Technic piece to make Tetsuo's bike from the capsule toy to make a wheelie bar. But fuck it. It was great. So there's a bike. Have a bike. Yeah. Lots of different builds today. Lots and lots of different builds. This is what happens when it's like months of no recording. Because I still build shit, guys. I'm still around. I'm still relevant. Oh, man. Fuck, I guess I got a lot to show you. Let's go on to something else. So, anime. My big revelation for today is I've watched a lot of anime. I haven't watched a lot of TV. Okay, let's take a break. Let's be real. So what's happening right now? Just because, this is a broadcast going out to the internet that will hopefully go up today. Somewhat kind of timely and relevant, I guess, to record things. One of the things that's like really tripping me out is my wife pointed out to me the other day. She was like, yeah, you've done Bricks and Beer for like 4 years and you haven't posted one for 10 months. And I was like, holy fuck. Like, number one, like a year-long gap. Number one, biggest gap in Bricks and Beer history. Sorry, bros. Sorry, guys. If you've been salivating for Bricks and Beer for 10 months, it's my fault. I'm a jerk. Number two, like, I've been doing this for a long time, and this is just kind of like what I do, It's like I build things and I keep on going, but if I don't do this part of it, it's kind of feels a little lacking in building the things and not putting them out there, Because the idea of Bricks and Beer originally was that this was going to replace my, like, I hate photography part of the hobby. I could just show the stuff with you guys. Like, the best part for me is building stuff. And it's not. So what's happening right now in April of 2020 is everybody's on lockdown because there's a virus. There's a plague. It's a big deal. So it's weird. This is like week 4, technically, of lockdown for us. Lockdown meaning I live in Los Angeles, California. Shelter in place, stay at home, try not to go out unless it's for essential things. Hence the thing in the beginning about the beer and the curbside pickup and delivery. So one of the things we're really trying to do is support a lot of local businesses because they're kind of fucked because you can't go there and have good times and partake in the things that they do. So like Strandco, we fucking love going to Strand Brew. They're closed as fuck, but you can still buy beer. You can go, you can pick it up, dude's safe, sprays it down. Just like there's a lot of shit that's happening right now. There's a lot of new like diction and words that are coming out. Like social distancing is now a new and obviously like big term, meaning like get the fuck away from me. So all of that is to say this. Part of why I'm doing this is because I feel like this is the best time to put out content for you motherfuckers because you're stuck at home and you got nothing else to do. And getting a little distraction from all of the things that are out there is probably good. So, I'm going to show you one more build, and then we're going to talk about some stuff, and then we'll get out of here. So one of the things you could do is you could fucking watch anime like I have, and I've come to a realization about that. And you could build one of those things from that anime. And I love robots, obviously, as established by, robots. Gundam is sort of the king of robots. They're OG. They're not the OOG, but they're pretty up there. I mean, they've been around for fucking 50 years or whatever it is now. Iron Blooded Orphans is one of those shows that I heard about, that everybody talked up, that I never watched. It came out in 2015, which is 5 years ago now. Finally fucking watched it. It is an excellent show. It's available on both Hulu and Netflix. I'd suggest Netflix because there's no commercials. The robots are cool. And they have tanks in them, and one of these, they're sort of Tachikoma-esque tanks. They're called like mobile workers. I actually recently started like building Gundam kits again, and the Gundam kits are great because they're Gundam kits, and all Gundam kits are awesome. But the mobile worker, the thing I bought, it's like an add-on. It's like you get an extra gun for a kit, and it comes with the mobile worker. It's not the greatest model ever. He's so tiny. And he's one color. And this is not very satisfying. So, here you go, Internet. Have yourself a Lego mobile worker. This is the perfect Lego build for me. I'll tell you why. So, Lego to me is a format, a medium that you can build anything with, that you're unrestricted to, right? So it's like, cool. Yeah, you can build whatever you want. You want an X-Wing? Just build an X-Wing. You could buy an X-Wing. You can buy an X-Wing model kit. You can buy a million things. But like, if you're really into an X-Wing, right? It's like, you could buy fucking tens of thousands of dollars, I'm guessing, X-Wing. You could probably buy a life-size X-Wing. I'm guessing somebody out there makes X-Wings. Or you could pay somebody to make you a life-size X-Wing. The mobile worker exists as this tiny 144 kit, or an import toy that is stupid expensive. So I'm never going to buy any of that stuff. Even the things that exist aren't compelling enough for me to do what I want to do. Like, I want to be an action figure-y thing. So build your own, bro. Build your own. So the mobile worker, it's not very fancy. It's got legs, They're articulated. It's a tricycle basically with a tank on top of it as I break it. But it's posable enough. You'd be surprised at like how dynamic like and expressive these kind of like poses can get. You know. Um, there's our boy hanging out the back. So this is the commander variant, which means that it has this like silly exposed seat so that the main dude from the anime can sit shirtless and yell platitudes from the back, which is great. It also has a pilot, which is in the pilot cockpit, which I will show you. So this is how the fancy import toy also does this. Hatch opens and then it breaks down in the front. So dude actually fits in here, including homie with the ridiculous anime hair who's shirtless and jacked. This is our boy Biscuit. If you've seen the anime, you know. So yeah, so there's machine guns obviously on the sides. These mobile workers are like in the actual show are basically worthless. They just get like stomped on by the giant robots, which is kind of great, but also kind of not great. So story of that anime series, but so there's machine guns, and these are very on model. And then in the show, there's a bunch of variants, right? So there's a rocket launcher variant, and like all Gundam kits, like all good mecha shit, I always want to build the best version of the toys, you know. Like it's essentially, here's the thing. Like I want a toy of a mobile worker, especially when I'm watching the anime, and I can't just like I guess I could. I could just buy a thing and get it sent to my house, but like kind of when you make it yourself, you're like, oh yeah, okay, well I did that. I got that play pattern. Now I want this play pattern. So this is the rocket launcher pattern, obviously. And then towards the end of the show, they have a or the end of season 1 into season 2. I have not, full disclosure, watched all of season 2. They have like bigger, stupider guns, but I had to do all of it. You know, sometimes they face up. There's a lot of things where people are hanging out in the tanks and the guns are just facing up. There's also a variant which is not the commander variant, which means that it does not have this like exposed hatch thing here. So what you can do is, well, that went a lot smoother than I thought it was going to. You can pop that back section off there and put the regular section on. And one of the things that I fucking love about this is this click hinge panel, right? It's like supposed to be an armored panel that sticks up in front of them. But because of the way that works and the piece with the rail, you can see that piece of the rail, it's a perfect fit. So these tiles kind of overlap it, which if I pull this off, I can show you what I mean. Oh, come on, fucker. Okay, there we go. See? Perfect fit. Beautiful. So there's your variant that just has the pilot. It doesn't have homeboy hanging out the back. So we'll go back to machine guns because they look the best. And there you go. Here's a mobile worker. Boom. Have some Gundam. Have some Iron-Blooded Orphans. Oh fuck! I didn't even include the coolest variant. I'll show you one more variant, and then we'll move on to something else. Then we'll probably get the fuck out of here. There we go. Yeah, and this is they show this like once in the anime, but it was in a concept art, and I was like, oh, this is so good not to do. And I love this kind of stuff. This is like the world building kind of stuff that I love in really like all fictional sci-fi property stuff. Is if you have these things in the real world, right? You have these mobile worker tank things like they're not just to shoot things. Like, you would use them for everything. So here's the pickup truck variant, which is super great. And when the legs are like just in like standard drive mode, it's a lot more utilitarian. So driving along some cargo, and then you get to make some cargo. Everybody loves cargo. It's got, a lift gate. Oh, unloaded. Jettison some cargo. I had a roommate who is an awesome dude. He actually sent me an email the other day about how he built his first Lego thing ever that he spent more than an hour on. It was a Lego camper van. He's an Australian dude. So shout out to you, Chris. And one of the funniest things that ever happened to us, well, not the funniest thing, but one of the many funny things that happened to us, is he used to like use the euphemism of I'm going to jettison some cargo to mean I'm going to go take a shit. And the first time he deployed such a phrase was at my at the time girlfriend's house. And it went over flawlessly because she had no idea what the fuck was going on, and we knew exactly what he was talking about. So, great. Shout out to you, Chris. All right. So, COVID-19 in 2020. You're stuck at home. You gotta do some shit. Here's what I suggest you do. Build some Lego, obviously. If you don't want to do that, sort like a motherfucker. Now is the time. So what I have done is I have sorted some shit I never thought I would sort. So this used to all be one drawer, and now it's plants. It's individual plants. Here's a bag of leaves that spilled everywhere. Here's a different bag of leaves. Here's a different bag. Oh, who likes these plants? Everybody likes those plants. I don't know why I need to sell you on this so bad. Sort your shit. Now's the time. Do it. Fucking take your drawers. Sort them. Especially like something like this. This is like a thing that like I have been putting off. Because at the bottom of this, imagine all of these individual Ziploc bags were just like one big mulch, right? So like, no time like the present. The other thing you can do is clean. Clean like a motherfucker. I have dusted so many fucking action figures over the last 3 weeks. My house is immaculate. It's great. You also can do puzzles. Jigsaw puzzles. I've been doing that a lot. One of the more relevant Lego puzzles, though, is shout out to the homie Ryan Howarder. He's doing these reverse engineering puzzles. So you can do things like this, where he just sends you this photo. It's on Instagram. And he's like, how would you do this? And then you figure it out. So me and the homies have been doing this, which amazing. So like this is today's, right? This is today's puzzle. All four of us come up with 4 different solutions how to do this same thing, which is like phenomenal to me. It's great. You also probably should socialize, get out there, hang out with some other people, do some virtual stuff. I suggest Google Hangouts for groups of 8 or smaller. Fuck Zoom. You can do a virtual draft. This is the UCS Sandcrawler that me and the homies have drafted via video call. You can see I've picked up some decent stuff. Yeah, so this is, you can do shit like this. Survive. Stay safe. Be nice to each other. Watch shit on the internet. So speaking of which, after this hour that you guys have hung out with me, I'm going to post some other stuff. And it's all old. And it's all shit that was supposed to be in line with the rest. And it's not. So, sorry. Next up is Ace Capades. There's a part 1. There's a part 2. Spoilers. I fucked up on part 2. It doesn't exist anymore. I'm an asshole. Yeah, it's a bummer. But I do have like one thing that I can like tag on to the next of that. So watch it. It's a good episode though. It's a cool conversation that we have. Episode after that, 71 MorrowCon, done like back in August, September. A really good like tour of his collection. We talk about like different tools and shit that you can do to keep this madness. Maybe things that you could be building right now or developing right now. And then 72 live from BrickCon back in October. We got the boy, the Slovakian Daniel on there. It's a good one. It's short. It's a disaster. It'll be fun. Yeah, so if you want to watch all that shit, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Be good to each other. Play well. It's episode 69. We're going to go out on the classic little kid joke. Maybe it's not a little kid joke. It's told to me by another little kid when I was a little kid. Don't get this twisted. What's a 6.9? It's a good time. Interrupted by a period. See you in the future.